Today is going to be a different show. Um, Today is the anniversary of September 11th attacks. It's the day after a giant in our movement was assassinated. So it's a bit of a somber show. And there's, I don't know, it's just, there's been so much going on. I really don't. Wow. All right, I'm going to start with this. Um, as I said, today is the anniversary of the September 11th attacks, and that day in 2001, it was clear skies. Life was normal, and all of a sudden, it shattered in an instant. All of a sudden, it shattered. And I don't know if you heard that. Sorry. What happened after that? It was there was a lot of unity of thought. Didn't matter if you were Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. Um, people were unified. People understood the gravity of what had just happened. Flags were flying, prayers were going up, neighbors were helping neighbors, people were helping strangers. Um, it was it was something that I hadn't seen in a long time, if ever, honestly. And I thought for a brief period of time that was that was going to be a new chapter for this country. And we all remember George Bush on the pile of rubble, telling the world that they were going to hear from us, the people who did that. And there were some lessons learned that day in the aftermath of that. We learned that America is not untouchable. We learned that our enemies were patient. We learned that they were ideological and willing to die for their cause, willing to die for martyrdom. Their cause was, it still is, martyrdom, jihad, and establishing a caliphate, a worldwide caliphate. Osama bin Laden's the leader of that movement at the time before he was taken out. His goals were to end U.S. influence in the Middle East, establish an Islamic state governed by Sharia law, and withdrawing American military forces from Saudi Arabia, which he considered a desecration of some of Islam's holiest sites, and the destruction of Israel. And now, 20 years later, we have people who hadn't yet been born supporting this, protesting against Israel, wearing the kafiyas and saying that America is a bad place, saying that we deserve some of these things that are happening. We we pay, well, some people pay lip service to um, the never forget mantra um, every year on this day. But if you just look around, pay attention, we have forgotten plenty. Just look around. We have forgotten so much. We have radical is Muslims in Congress. We have radical Muslims in Congress, openly hostile to America, openly hostile to our allies, specifically Israel, openly advocating for their their home countries if they weren't born here, openly advocating for quote unquote Palestine against American interests. We have candidates who have ties to Islamic groups running for mayor in some of the biggest cities in the country, New York. And we have the American Pravda celebrating these people as diverse trailblazers. To a lot of these people, never forget is just a couple of words they utter every year. And it just means forget who attacked us. Forget who attacked us and put their ideological comrades in charge of some of our biggest cities and some of our biggest, put them in charge of the country as far as they're concerned. That's what they want. And I know one thing that I will never forget is this. Let's see if I can pull it up here.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties. CARE was.
Some people did something. Some people did something. I will never forget that. And it just blows my mind that we are allowing people like that in our government. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Post 9/11, immediately after that tragedy, we were unified, as I said, and some would say, I would say that we went a little too far when it came to things like um, the Patriot Act, when it came to establishing the TSA and the power that they had, and the restrictions on air travel and things of that nature that are just now finally starting to relax. But at the same time, while that was going on, we had, well, except for the time when President Trump was in office, we had a wide open border where we just let anyone and everyone into the country, some of whom we know are on terror watch lists, and they got away. No vetting, no nothing, just come right on in. We have no idea of knowing how many of them are here now. No way. And so the lesson that some of these people learned was if they hijack planes, just let them swim across the Rio Grande. We have so many warnings from the FBI and DHS about gotaways who have links to terror cells that are on terror watch lists. And yet, every year on September 11th, it's never forget. But we have. You and I haven't. But at the same time, we voted in people who have. We voted in people who couldn't care less. And because we have allowed these people in with no vetting and things like that, we have opened the door for them to continue their march. Islam is spread um, through conquest and submission. I mean, just look at Dearborn and Detroit. It is nearly impossible for a non-Muslim to get elected to any office in those places. Nearly impossible. And then we have across the pond in the UK and London, we have Sharia courts, or they have Sharia courts. They have no-go zones. Many Islamic mayors. And just recently, the Home Secretary over there was put in place, and she's a devout Muslim. And the British public is already concerned, to say the least, about the migrant crisis over there, as they call it. I call it an invasion. And yet the Home Secretary and that whole office is 85, 90% Muslim. What do they think is going to happen now? More Islamic mayors are going to be elected, and they're going to throw the doors wide open, roll out the red carpet, and more Muslims are going to come pouring into the country. The UK has fallen. The UK has fallen. And in Florida and Texas, we have imams talking about taking over. We have imams organizing Sharia patrols. But as far as the left is concerned, it's just multiculturalism. Diversity is our strength. How can you have peaceful coexistence with Sharia patrols? The UK is finding out that you cannot have peaceful coexistence with anything resembling that. And we always say never forget 9/11. They're still doing the same thing. Only now they're doing it with politics and demographic shifts as opposed to airplanes, and we're letting it happen. That is a that is completely disrespecting the memory of the people who died that day. It is a complete dishonor to their sacrifice, and we're just um, treating 9/11 as a yearly hashtag, an anniversary to remember it on the day, and then business as usual. Never forget, to me, and it should mean to everyone else, is remember the dead and remember the enemy, and stay vigilant against that ideology that is still on the march. Stay vigilant. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Wendell Phillips said that. That's often misattributed to Thomas Jefferson, but Wendell Phillips said that. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. If we forget, which I think many of us have, and keep electing and empowering these people with the very ideology that brought us 9/11, never forget becomes the biggest lie that we tell ourselves. 24 years later, the warning still stands. Never forget and never again. Can we heed that warning? Not so sure. All right. We have another tragic story to talk about. And this was tough. This was really tough. Charlie Kirk, a giant in the conservative movement, was assassinated yesterday. Fatally shot at an event at Utah Valley University. Single shot to the neck, fired from what they're saying is 200 yards away. Before I came on, there was a lot of information coming through. I didn't have a chance to vet any of it. They're saying they recovered a weapon. They're saying that there is indications that the shooter was aligned with Antifa and the transgender movement. And I don't know. I haven't, like I said, had a chance to. I just saw this just a little bit before I went live today. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out more as the day goes on. BZ, who's on tonight, I'm sure he will have a lot of that updated information. Um, yeah, this has been this has been a rough week between um, Irina Zaletska's murder, Charlie Kirk's assassination, the anniversary of 9/11. Wow, rough week. But Charlie's assassination has it's garnered condemnation from both Democrats and Republicans and conservatives. But the Democrats, they always they always couch it in blame. They blame President Trump. They blame some people have even blamed Charlie Kirk himself. It's just seeing some of that has wow. I I don't even know how to respond to some of the things that have been said and some of the things that have been posted. Just utter garbage from garbage human beings. We are going to get into some of that um, here in a bit, but this Charlie Kirk's assassination could be, and probably is, something akin to a George Floyd type moment for the right in terms of the way it is galvanizing people on the right. It's a rallying cry born out of sacrifice and bloodshed. And it shatters the left's narrative because they can't keep saying that political violence is only a right-wing phenomenon. I got into this a little bit. Well, somebody tried to get me into this a little bit yesterday on social media, and I just refused to take the bait. Um, I just wasn't into it yesterday. Looking back on it, I kind of wish I had a little bit, but I just didn't have it in me yesterday. But the thing is, they they like to say that it's a right-wing phenomenon, but you can go back decades, all the way back to the the Weather Underground and a host of other left-wing movements that engaged in political violence back then. And yes, there have been some on the right, but leaving aside the historical context, you going back 20 years, going back 5 years, 10 years, it has been growing and welling up on the left. All the trans shooters, the 2020 Summer of Love, the BLM Antifa riots, the killing of the United Healthcare CEO, and then they named, I believe it was California, named a bill after the animal who killed Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO. it's the left has become the party of violence, and then they celebrate it by naming bills after the people who commit this violence. Charlie Kirk died speaking, exercising his First Amendment rights on a college campus where the First Amendment, where freedom of speech is under attack. And his murder on this college campus is going to put all of that under an even finer microscope. And his name will be shorthand for the cultural rot that is overtaking us. The cultural rot, the leftist rage and hostility. And wow, this is they have crossed the Rubicon with this one. They have crossed the Rubicon with this one. And they're in a trap now because they can't ignore it like they try to ignore so many. They can't ignore this. Otherwise they look callous and uncaring. And if they validate him, then they lose the narrative again. We have BZ in the chat. Thank you for being here, BZ. Yes, it is. It is a difficult day. They have put themselves in a difficult position. And I honestly don't even know if they really care, frankly. I don't think they care. And here's the thing. You see online a lot of these leftists calling for unity, calling for violence to end, allegedly. I'm not sure they really believe it. But how can we be unified with people who want to kill us and then celebrate when they're successful? Could you be unified with somebody who assaulted you or killed someone in your family? I don't think any reasonable person could. But yet here they are. They call us all kinds of names. Nazi, fascist, racist. It's not hyperbolic for effect. They mean it. They absolutely mean it. And I didn't get a chance to prepare it. I had Andrew Breitbart, that famous clip where he talks about this. And then he tells them to go F themselves. And then his last word is war. They they have been at war with us for a long time. They have been at war with us for a long time. And when you constantly when you constantly call people, label people Nazis, fascists, racists, you are justifying violence against them. You're justifying violence against them. That's why President Trump was shot. That's why there were 2 attempts on his life. That's why Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That's why Riley Gaines was attacked on campus. That's why Brandon Tatum was attacked on campus. That's why Brian Thompson was killed. You can just go down the list of all the people who have been hurt or killed because they don't have the right view. Charlie Kirk was a gentleman. He didn't sink to their level. He was a man of God, and so he kept things civil. He engaged in tried to engage in civil dialogue, even though some of these people made it very, very difficult for him to do so. And they have always proven when engaged in these things that they're not civil. And if there was ever any doubt that they're not civil, they proved it beyond a shadow of that doubt yesterday. This is a turning point, so to speak. They have crossed the Rubicon. Charlie Kirk was a Christian. As a child of God myself, I am commanded. The Bible says I have to love my enemies and pray for them. And I do. I do. But I don't have to engage with them. I don't have to be unified with them. I just have to love them and pray for their eternal souls. That's it. But I can't be unified with them. I won't. I I can't be unified with somebody who celebrates the death of anyone, not just Charlie Kirk, but who celebrates the death of anyone. If a conservative had celebrated the death of some leftist, I can't be unified with that person either. But then again, that doesn't happen. But it happens all the time with the left. I remember during COVID, there was a conservative radio host who died from COVID. They celebrated that. They celebrated when Rush Limbaugh died. You can just go down the list of all the conservatives who have passed away, and they celebrate every single time. There was, let me see if I have it here, because somebody compiled a video of a bunch of them who have who were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And just in case you think I'm exaggerating, and this is nothing compared. I mean, you can just doom scroll on Instagram and TikTok and see it all over the place. But here's one that is just discuss.
Leftists celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Watch this.
Bye, Charlie Kirk. Like you said, people getting shot and killed for the Second Amendment is so worth it. I never thought we'd agree on anything. Bye.
Unbelievable. These people are sick.
I just wanna be part of your
Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights. Congratulations to Charlie Kirk for becoming the new poster child for gun awareness and violence.
These people are sick, twisted, and evil. Who would want to be unified with that? Would you? Who in their right mind would want to be unified with that? I'm done. I'm done giving them the benefit of the doubt. No, there is no unity with these people. Absolutely not. As I said, I will pray for them. I hope they get a revelation and repent. But that is the extent of it. The person who tried to get me into that conversation on social media, like I think I mentioned, I've known that person for well over 40 years. He was one of a group of some of my best friends. Not anymore. I can't get down with that. And yesterday was just the latest in a string. I mean, in 2015, President Trump, then candidate Trump, broke this person's brain, just like he broke so many others. And it's only gotten worse. So yeah, there is no unity. Not right on through here anyway. We live in a hostile world. You know, let me take a look at some of these chats. BZ says, "You're a much better man than I. I will not be praying for them. I will, if it gets to that, be fighting them." I get it. Believe me, I get it. I get it. And if it comes down to it, I'll be fighting them too. But the Bible says we have to pray for them, so that's what I'm going to do. As hard as that may be, as I said, I get it. The Bible also says that those of us who stand for the truth will be persecuted. John 15:18 says, "If the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you." This is Jesus Christ speaking. We know they hate us. We know they hated Charlie Kirk for reasons. They say he's hateful. They say he's bigoted. But they can never come up with any concrete examples of him being hateful or bigoted or any of the other adjectives they ascribe to him or to any of us. But they made him a martyr. They made him a martyr, and that is probably going to prove to be a mistake on their part. martyrs multiply movements. Martyrs strengthen movements. Martyrs solidify movements. And I mean, you see it in the Bible, Stephen's stoning, Paul's chains, the blood and the sacrifice of the faithful. It strengthens these movements. It fuels courage. And Charlie Kirk was, as I said, he was a man of God, a man of faith. He lived for God. Philippians 1:21 says, "For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain." We as Christians will take solace in the knowledge that he is with God right now. As tough as that is for us to really wrap our minds around and understand, he is with God right now. And as hard as it is, that should fill us with some joy knowing that. I know that sounds crazy to people who are not Christians, but that's the truth. As hard as it may be in the moment, that's the truth. Now, his legacy is going to live on. His legacy is going to live on. 2 Timothy 2:2. "And the things that you have heard from me among many witnesses, commit these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." And Charlie Kirk started Turning Point USA at the age of 18, grew it into a multi-million-dollar enterprise, and gave a number of people a start to use their voices, just like he did. And I have no doubt that that mission is going to continue. I have no doubt of that. And because of the tragic circumstances that led to his death, murder, I think that that is going to fuel a resolve in Turning Point, the people who run Turning Point, that I think it's going to be nearly unstoppable. And they're going to wish that they hadn't done that. The left is going to wish that they had not amplified his voice with his assassination. Because Christians have a worldview. Christians who truly believe, as I believe Charlie Kirk did, that this is doing God's work is worth all the sacrifice. Matthew 10:28 says, "Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body." That one lunatic who was celebrating that Charlie Kirk died from being shot. He understood that. He understood that he could succumb to that kind of violence. He understood it, and he was not afraid. And we can't be afraid either. Matthew 5:10. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Not just the headlines, not just money, power on this earth, but the kingdom of heaven. That's what all of us are striving for. And he was doing his work in service of that. The assassin thought he silenced Charlie Kirk. He just amplified his voice. Politically, this is going to haunt the Democrats. Every time they try to talk about domestic extremism, every time they try to talk about right-wing violence, somebody is going to point to September 10th and let them know that they do not have a leg to stand on, not a one. And spiritually, his death is a wake-up call. Because there is a cost. There is a cost to standing up for truth. He paid it. But it's one worth paying. It's one worth paying. If you're standing up for truth, if you're standing up for righteousness, if you're standing up for advancing the kingdom of God, and you get persecuted for that, you get killed for that, your reward is in heaven. And that is a comfort to those of us who believe. It's not as much of a comfort to, in the moment, people are grieving and it's not easy. I get it. But that's also the truth. They hated Christ. They're going to hate you. That's not a bug in the system. That is the feature. The feature. So Sackhead Sean is here in the chat. Thanks, buddy. I understand. I'm on earlier than most, and I know people have jobs, so here we are. Rest easy, Charlie. Your fight is over. We got it from here. You know what? I know you just got here, Sean, but that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm pissed. Sad. And I don't know. This this is just nuts. Just absolutely nuts. And it's going to get better. Yeah, but wow. Because I was going to talk about Irina Zaletska's murder. I just don't have that in me right now. So that's all I got. That's it. If any of this did hit home for you in any way, please take a second to like and subscribe and share it with everyone you know. I know this was a heavy show. And just, yeah, I get it. But please share it with everyone that you know. Last time I looked, we were up to 612 subscribers. So we're getting there. We're marching along. Sorry about that. But please like I said, take a second to like and subscribe and share with everyone that you know. This is the SHR Media Network, which I failed to mention in the beginning, and I apologize for that. But check out the SHR Media Network channel on YouTube, where you can catch Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Pacific, The Reaver of Common Sense with Jersey Joe every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. He was in the chat last night on Sean's show, so it's good to see him back. Hopefully he'll be back on the air soon. And BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. He will be on tonight, and I'm looking forward to that. I might be joining him. I'm not sure yet, but we will see how that goes. But be sure to like and subscribe to all those guys' channels. Help us spread the word. Help us to keep Charlie's legacy alive. We want a breakthrough. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can. If we ever touch anything that Charlie ever did, if we just get a fraction of that, that will be absolutely amazing. Because we want to spread the word. We want to carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope for future generations. So please, like I said, like and subscribe and share all of the stuff, all the things. That's it, y'all. So when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you, always. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.